Hello, film fans. Welcome to the Film vs. Film podcast. My name is Martin Harries, your host, and I'm joined by the film encyclopedia man, Boaz Dix. We are a couple of filmmakers on occasion, but mainly can't stop yapping about movies. On this podcast, every episode we pick a topic from a film that's coming out at the cinema or on VOD. Myself and Boaz pick our favourite film from that topic, and we battle it out to decide which film will become the greatest film of all time, according to two film geeks from Wiltshire, England. If you enjoy this podcast, please leave us a review and subscribe. Hello, podsters. This week, as Tom Clancy's Without Remorse hits Amazon Prime, we'll be looking at Michael B. Jordan films. No, not the basketball player turned actor, but Michael B. Jordan of Black Panther fame. And
the basketball one has no B. It's Michael Jordan.
Yeah. And as ever, I am joined by the fantabulous, incredible Boaz Dix. There you go. No rather good here
thank
today.
God. I've finally evolved past rather. It's taken how long? 7 months? How long have we been doing this? We've been doing this a while, right? Yeah.
Like November.
Yeah, then
we started doing it weekly from January.
No, it's a good thing when we're doing Michael B. Jordan films and not Michael Jordan films, because I think he only has Space Jam, right? Can't be in anything other than...
Yeah, pretty
You seen
much.
the new Space Jam trailer? Second one?
Looks interesting, because they have the, what they called, the guys from Clockwork Orange.
Oh, okay.
In it. Did
yeah,
you see
I think
that?
so. There was a lot of... there was like the Iron Giant. And,
That was very old.
I don't know. Like, I do agree with like one of the top comments was it looks like, Ready Player One or something. Yeah. It doesn't look like Space Jam.
No. I mean, they even animate him at one stage, don't they, in the trailer?
It looks like it's it's like Ready Player One or Wreck-It Ralph 2, where he goes into the internet. Doesn't really feel like Space Jam. Anyway, sorry, moving on. We're not talking about Michael
That's all right.
Michael Jordan, we're talking about Michael B. Jordan.
So my pick this week is Fruitvale Station by director Ryan Coogler, who did Black Panther with Michael B. Jordan as well. And he certainly directs your film that you picked as well, so it's kind of cool that we've picked the same two films from the same director.
I had no idea, so that's fortuitous serendipity.
Yeah, I kind of did it on purpose a little bit because I thought, we picked the same director for the last one. Let's do it again.
Okay, fair enough.
For me, it was either this one or Chronicle, which he was in with Josh Trank, and Dane DeHaan was in that one as well. But I kind of went with this one because I just felt that I guess it's just more important to see, and Chronicle can wait, because I hadn't seen either of the films, so I was just like, it would just be kind of cool to see what Ryan Coogler's first film was all about. Sure. And this film, Fruitvale Station, from 2013, 2013, is his first feature. He did about three shorts in the past, and he approached Forrest Whitaker about financing for the film, and he was like, yeah, definitely, let's do it, So Fruitvale Station is about the story of Oscar Grant III, a 22-year-old Bay Area resident who crosses paths with his friends, enemies and family and strangers on the last day of 2008. He was brutally murdered on Fruitvale Station by police. So it certainly, to me, was a kind of an important watch that I kind of wanted to know what happened, really. Have you seen this one before?
First time I've seen this. I think I've seen the trailer for it.
So directing then, and clearly, Fruitvale Station has a very, low budget for. I mean, no one's going to give director a shit ton of money for their first feature with something like this. But so it certainly has this very much independent, sometimes documentary-esque style to it. I just feel like it felt very well researched and really well done. I mean, there are at times at times I would say the whole film where you would think you're literally looking onto someone else's life. It doesn't feel staged or filmy at all. It just feels really, really authentic. That's the first thing I would say. I mean, this is a really short film as well, just like an hour and 20 minutes. So, they do seem to pack in quite a lot in such a short space of time, I would say. But some of the scenes I do want to talk about I love the long take of the camera following Oscar into the nursery about halfway through the film, where he picks up his kid Tatiana. When they come back, it's followed by this great slow motion on a long lens of Oscar doing this comedy run back to the car, and he jumps back onto the car, and it's just a great expression of Oscar's love for his child. I kind of like that bit. Made me smile a bit.
Yeah, and they replay it just before he dies, which is pretty shocking. Yeah. But the film, I think, takes place around just one day. I think it's just a day, in his life.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, that sort of stuff, him happy-go-lucky with his daughter, that happened in the morning, and then by really early next morning, still the night, he's dead. Yeah, kind of bookends the film.
And I kind of really like the scene where, they eat, fried crab for, Wanda's birthday. His mum, played by Octavia Spencer, and it has this, this great documentary style to it, and the camera is focusing on people's faces on the fly. Literally, the camera is, trying to figure out, who should I go on? And the camera itself feels very improvised, of where shall I go on next? It's quite interesting, just trying to react on what each character is doing. And it just really emphasizes this very close family feeling. As I said, it just feels like you are just observing real life right now, but not in a documentary.
Yeah.
Yeah,
no, it does have this, just the way everybody kind of interacts with each other. You've got a lot with his friends and family, and even just regular strangers and background extras. It does feel, it doesn't feel scripted. It does feel kind of organic and, quite, just off the cuff. It probably isn't, but it does feel like it.
Any other directional scenes you like?
So, there were a few. It's like he's at the gas station and this guy goes hurtling by in the car.
Oh, yeah.
And he gets angry at him, and I wasn't actually sure what the hell was going on. It's like, okay, it's just one car on the road. Why is he getting angry? And the camera turns with, he turns, the camera turns, and a dog has been struck by a car. And he gets really emotional about that. I mean, he's not had the best day to start with anyway. He lost his job. His mother's got a birthday party coming. He's been thinking about selling weed again. It's not the best. And then he sees this dog hit, and it's such a trivial thing, but it does really affect him deeply. And then it's kind of horrible because at the end he's going to be kind of in the same position as that dog.
It's always horrible when, as I said before in the Melissa McCarthy one, when Lee Israel's cat dies. It's always horrible when animals die in films. It's pretty terrible. It's like, oh, why?
But I think that was well executed of not actually seeing what was riling him up at that moment, and then it was a bit like, what the hell?
Yeah.
So that was my first thought of uses of direction, where I was like, oh, okay, that's quite interesting. There aren't as many things that really stick out to me. One was basically his last train ride, and I think it's just kind of ominous because when they all get on the train and everybody gets on the train and the train goes and the camera just kind of is there, and seeing the train go
weird, isn't it?
It was just an ominous shot. I don't know what about it was so ominous. It's like all of this this music, this partying, they're happy, they're smiling, everybody gets on the train, boom, and it's silence, dead silent, and it just hangs there, and you're like, whoa, that's ominous.
It's weirdly spooky.
It's really ominous. And I think that's intentional, obviously. It's lingering a bit too long where you're like, okay, this means something. Because this is literally the last train he is ever going to ride.
Because it just doesn't feel normal to hang those shots on for that long.
Exactly. If you're just doing, our main character is gone, okay, well, now let's go see our main character. But let's move
on. People are like, oh,
it's almost like it doesn't want to move on. It's like, no, it's just an effective use of something very simple of just a static camera and just dragging on a scene a little too long, where it's like, oh, okay. It's just watching a train, but I thought that was really well executed of, oh, okay, this is ominous. Something is going to happen. Something important is going to happen. The camera almost doesn't want to follow, And then, and when you get to it, they're just having a good time in the train. Then, shit goes wrong. And
Yeah, I mean, the chaos of the whole murder scene is quite remarkable. It definitely has this very frantic nature to it, and it definitely puts you in as much as it can in that situation, with the camera work and just how everything is cut really quickly, and you're really not sure what the hell's going on at some points. When I first watched it, I didn't even realize for a few moments that Oscar actually got shot. I thought someone else got shot or something. It was all just really crazy, that whole scene. Because when he gets shot, Michael B. Jordan does this like gasp, and it's just like, I've never really seen that kind of expression on a character's face before, because you just hear it. You don't, well, I think it's a really wide lens when the cop shoots him. It's all done really quickly, and it's just really interesting, how all the decisions there just to give you this disorientation of what's going on,
As you said, it gets so hectic, the camera cutting back and forth to so many things going on and shaking like hell. Then it's like, a gunshot, and then it's just reactions of like, steady, whoa, what happened? And you see him and you're like, what happened? And
talking about like the truth of this film as well is very important for Ryan Coogler, just to get as much historical accuracy as possible. So that station you see is the actual Fruitvale station that Oscar was killed at. Jordan was saying you could actually see the bullet hole that was still there. So they shot around that area, so I think the cast and crew like prayed for a moment before they shot that scene out of respect. And they only had like 4 hours to shoot that scene, apparently. So they had to work ridiculously quick, And I think the whole shoot itself was only like 3 weeks. Pretty mental how quickly you have to work in these short independent films.
And I mean, it's just also a little thing, but and I've seen this in a few things more recently, but how they deal with text messages, because he's always getting text. How it appears on screen, kind of almost disembodied, like next to him. Sort of, you kind of, I like that. It's a simple effect, but, I like that. It's a better cut than, like, films in the past whenever they had to deal with text messages, or some films do, where you look at their screen and it's like, it's really tiny and, you're going to...
Just makes it difficult to read, doesn't it? It's just like, you're tilting your head and you're like, oh, what the hell does that say? Rewind.
But I like it. It's big letters, but it doesn't intrude the flow of the film, you know what's going on.
You got a favourite shot, then?
It's going to sound weird. The only thing I can think of as being my favourite shot is, I don't know, it's quite strange. It's just the train going by. I don't know. Seems a bit strange.
Yeah. No, I get you. That the way it just like creates this eerie tension because he's going to get killed in a minute. Yeah, that was a really interesting build up, really. My favourite shot, I think you mentioned it briefly, is where Oscar is like holding his daughter Tatiana on his back in the evening sun, basically telling you that Oscar has died. He didn't make it. It's really beautiful the way the sun is like flaring in the lens, and there's no sound. It's only background noise at the hospital as Octavia Spencer's character is like praying to everyone, or with everyone rather. And it's just a really sad moment just before the doctor tells them that Oscar's passed away, but you definitely know that he's gone in that moment, and it's just shot really well.
Oh, actually, I'll backtrack. A few other shots I quite liked, that I should mention, is when he goes over to his mum's, and you're seeing fireworks because it's the 31st of December, so it's going to go and be New Year and what have you. And people are launching off fireworks, and it's him with his daughter, and they're looking out the car window. And it's like almost their point of view of looking through the car window, and you see all these fireworks go up, and these guys on the street corner, some are launching fireworks, and one guy has like a handgun. Yeah.
Does he?
And he has a handgun. And as the fireworks, it's such a quick stop and you'll miss it thing, but he fires off a handgun while these other guys fire off bottle rockets. And yeah, man, watch it again. I thought that was a good shot. I was like, oh, okay.
Okay, now.
And because she even asks about it later, she says, I hear, I don't feel safe here, like she doesn't want to sleep over here. I hear gun noises, and he's like, oh, that's just fireworks, But I don't know. I just quite like that. I know you probably missed it, but I was like, Okay.
So score then for Boas for directing.
It's one of those things. There are some really good shots in it. I do wish this film was longer. Like it's one of those things. It's like it's shot well. They have. I mean, the acting is good, and that comes as part of the direction as well. It does feel natural. I do agree with you. The camera, how it follows them, it does feel like a very real life sort of documentary sort of feel to it. I'd probably give it 7.4.
Yeah, I agree with everything you just said. I just love this commitment from Ryan Coogler just to seek out what the truth was, and I don't think the runtime really bothers me that much. And obviously there are certain elements in the film when he's on his own, and they didn't really know what happened with Oscar. So, he did so many interviews with all of his friends, and there's so much like YouTube footage and bits and pieces of reading from the trial and things like that. So he had, a wealth of resources. So the runtime doesn't bother me too much. I mean, it is very short. I mean, I always complain that the films are too long than too short, usually. I mean, no, the other way around, that they're not long enough. But I mean, it didn't bother me too much. I suppose
it's not that it bothered me that much. I just have to mention it. But I mean, it is over the course of one day, and there's only so much you can pad out till you get to, you know what I mean? I guess that makes sense. If it was like more than a day in his life, maybe it should have been longer. But it was the last day of his life, and thematically, that's quite interesting.
So, I mean, to shoot this in like 3 weeks, what looks like quite a small budget, is quite impressive to me. So I would go like 7.6. What do you think? Right, screenplay. Gotta be honest, I ain't got a lot of notes for screenplay. But one thing that certainly I noticed straight away is that films like this, based on real events, and there's photographs and real footage attached to it, a filmmaker usually like sticks it on at the end, after the film is effectively finished. But in this, Ryan Coogler chooses to put the footage like right at the start, like certainly someone's camera phone footage, which looks like that girl he befriends in the supermarket, to be honest. But I guess, by doing it this way, it just makes a big impact right from the start, right from the off in this film, and you're leading up to it. It doesn't pretend that it's something it's not, It's quite a brave choice there.
You hear some lines. I think it opens with Darkness, some lines that are in by the actors, and then the camera phone footage. Yeah, and that's quite sad. And I would also go that on like good lines to start a film on, of him talking to his girlfriend, and it was like about what they want to do with their lives and stuff. And they're talking about what was it? Like 30 days to make a new habit, something that Oprah said. Yeah.
Oh yeah, Oprah mentioned a few times.
She's like the god of black people, basically. Yeah.
Apart from when she's interviewing royals in this country, anyway.
Yeah, you're kind of required to have an altar to Oprah. I'm joking, by the way. As if that wasn't clear. Bad joke. But anyway, so yeah, I thought that was a good line to sort of open the film on. It, it's like, it just shows the sort of the waste of a life. He was going to get his shit together and try to get on track. And yeah.
I mean, it's interesting how they construct this character of Oscar. This is a real life character, and they want to be as truthful as possible. So, it's warts and all with this character. He's not. I mean, he's very flawed. In the flashback scene with his mum, he visits his mum in
she
prison.
Visits her.
His mum visits him.
No, she's a saint. She hasn't done anything wrong. The hell are you talking about?
No. Yeah, and he's really aggressive to her, and you get the sense that he was not a nice guy at all, just really having a right go at his mum, and that incredible performance where he's basically walking after her mum as Octavia Spencer is walking out, and he's just trying to escape the guards. It's super intense.
Well, he's just saying like, "I'm sorry, just give me a hug. All I want is a hug," Yeah, that was pretty powerful stuff.
And then you get the progression of this character. He befriends this girl in the supermarket about how to fry fish. So he calls his granny for advice. But at the same time in that scene, you get that his girlfriend like accuses him of cheating. So there's another side of that scene.
Yeah, no, I 100% got that feeling that he was trying to be very flirtatious and stuff. And it's just coming off of a spat with his girlfriend where I think she caught him cheating or something like that, because he's like, listen, that didn't mean nothing, It's like, whatever. So, yeah, probably a bit of a, ladies' man. But, I think what you said is true. It's like he is very much a warts and all guy, this film. He's portraying him as a real guy. He doesn't have any of his shit together. He's making mistakes. But it's a shame because throughout this film, it's like him trying to take a stand of like, I'm going to try and do the right thing. Yeah.
He's someone trying to please everyone, Because there's that moment later on when he lies to his friend at the counter. He's like, oh yeah, I got my job back. I got my job back and I'm starting next week. He chucks all the marijuana in the sea. He's like, no, I'm not doing the drug dealer life now, even though he'll probably get an awful lot of money for it, probably. And it's just this story of a guy with a dark past that's just trying to please everyone. May not be doing it in the right way at times, but really great commitment to truth in this film from Ryan Coogler, because apparently he wanted to know, even up to the marketing stage, like he wanted the final say on the posters and things. I want final approval on it, So, because Ryan Coogler grew up in Oakland, this is based in the Bay Area, Oakland, San Francisco. So this film is incredibly personal to Ryan Coogler as well. I had a look at some of the interviews that Michael B. Jordan and Coogler did for this film, and it's always interesting with true stories because even though the outcome of the story, because the storytelling is so good, there could be like different outcomes sometimes when you're so in the film. Michael B. Jordan was saying that even though the film ends with Oscar dying, by the midpoint you're like, oh, it could be different, because you're so in it, if you know what I mean, and it's just a testament to the writing and the filmmaking that you get that sense.
It's just a constant sense of, he wants to go places, he wants to do something with his life.
With his life.
I like even when he's out on the town with his friends and he his girlfriend and this other girl need the bathroom and he manages to convince the guy to use the bathroom. And then this pregnant lady needs to use the bathroom and he just like turns to him like they're standing a bit awkwardly and he's like, oh, how long have you been married and stuff? And he's like, what, do you want to get married? He's like, yeah. Well, what's stopping you? And you're like, oh, I don't have the money. Well, I didn't have any money. It's like, oh.
All those scenes just make the whole thing just even more tragic. All that you just mentioned, that must be real, as close to the word as possible.
Everything does go south really quickly. It's such a shame. And it's because he meets somebody on the train, just somebody at the back of the train. Like he needs a seat. And he's walking to find a seat. And there's just some guy from his past who just remembers him.
Like an old drug dealer or something, like that, or someone from the prison. I wasn't quite sure. But it was, his downfall that the girl he befriended was the one that, is calling out his name, which...
Oh, yeah, this guy heard,
This white guy.
Because, she says out his name and he's like, hang on a minute.
It's his own good nature that gets himself killed, effectively. Yeah. Have you got a favourite line, then?
A lot of the dialogue does sound quite like naturalistic, and it's not like stuff that's quotable. It's stuff you probably hear somebody say, like just regular people say every day.
Mine is, I'm scared. I hear guns outside from Tatiana in that little scene with Oscar and his daughter.
30 days to start a new habit. It's just good advice. Plain good advice. The officer that escalates things, my God, he was a vicious little bugger.
It was just like the police were just looking for a fight as well. I got that sentence as well. It's just like, what are you doing? How do you know that these guys are the culprits of this bust up on the train? You're only picking these guys out because they're black. You're not looking for any white guys. You're not looking for the truth. It's just an easy target. So score Boaz for screenplay.
So as we were saying, I like basically it builds up this hope. He encounters a lot of problems. It's looking really dark. There's hope, and then there's no hope at the end, and it's a tragedy. It's got a really good tragic frame. There are a lot of good characters and stuff. It is kind of a shame there aren't many memorable quotes that we can bust off at the top of our head. 7.8. I'll give it 7.8.
I just do appreciate Ryan Coogler's just commitment to truth in this and doing ridiculous amount of research in this film to make it seem so authentic. I'm going to go solid 8. All right, acting then. I think the acting in this film is pretty incredible at times, especially from, obviously, Michael B. Jordan is incredible. And I do like Octavia Spencer as well as his mum.
She's really good.
Is incredible. His sister, his girlfriend, Melanie Diaz, is really great too, if I'm honest.
Yeah.
But certainly those two, Michael B. Jordan and Octavia Spencer, are pretty remarkable, really.
Yeah, I agree with you there. You know, because you see them at their best, have everybody having a good time, and then things go bad, and they're worried, and then they're praying for him, and then he dies. I thought that was acted just amazingly.
Yeah, I mean the moment like Octavia Spencer hears the sad news that Oscar didn't make it, she's just incredible in the stunned stillness, and she just feels this immense guilt that it was her fault in a way, because obviously she told him to take the train, so you don't need to worry about anything. So she's going to have to live with that for the rest of her life. Yeah, it's just a really powerful performance in that moment from her. It's interesting because that scene, it's not shouty or anything, not a massive outpouring of emotion. It's just really subtle, and you can just read everything on her face. It's quite extraordinary. But Michael B. Jordan is great in this film as well. I kind of like the scene where he's helping the customer buy fish in the supermarket, and he phones his grandma and he gives her the phone, so she talks to his grandma. It's quite sweet and charming. But then moments after that, he's going to meet his manager and pleading with him to get his job back, and he's quite aggressive in that moment.
Yeah.
And then he goes to his mate behind the counter to say, yeah, I got my job back, clearly, obviously lying to him. And then when he walks off, you just see all the guilt on his face. And it's just those 3 moments in that supermarket of just completely different emotions. I mean, and we've talked about the small budget on this film, Yes, a film is cut all together and you get a lot of takes at it, but I mean, they had 3 weeks to shoot this. I mean, this scene, like a few days at max with this scene. So Michael B. Jordan really has to be on the ball with these, all these different emotions he's got to play with, of just being charming, aggressive, and look guilty. It's not easy.
Yeah, exactly. That's a good scene. I think a really good demonstration of his acting prowess, as you've said, just having to go through in such a short bit of time in the scene, going through like so many emotions, and it's very believable. When he's playing with his daughter, I liked. It's just adorable.
Yeah, I liked all the scenes between Michael B. Jordan and the little actress Arania Neal, I think her name is, who plays Tatiana. I love the bit when he's like, she makes him clean his teeth with his finger. That was quite cool.
Yeah. Yeah, and, obviously the acting towards the end, with the police confrontation, that was the acting, obviously, it accentuates that. It makes it a lot more, believable.
They're all, like, so intense in that.
It is really intense. Yeah. And you could tell, like, even how he's feeling. He's like, he's angry that this is happening. He's worried. He's scared. He's confused. And Michael B. Jordan, through this, I think he's got a good handling of switching emotions on the fly. You can see it in his face. Good facial acting. He doesn't even have to be doing very much, and there's something going on in his head. Yeah,
just going back to Oscar and Sophia when they want to go out to celebrate, the new year, and Tatiana says to him, I'm scared, I hear guns outside. Jordan's performance is kind of interesting because he pauses for a moment, which feels like quite a long time in the scene. And he just says, oh, they're just firecrackers. But, in that pause, he's just contemplating, they could be guns. In that shot that you mentioned, there could be guns out there. And he's just about to leave his daughter. And it's just a really, subtle performance there. It's just like, oh, yeah, should I leave my daughter? There could be guns outside. It's just that tricky balance that he portrays really well just in that small moment, and he reassures her with Chuck E. Cheese, which sounds really nice, to be honest. I got a clue what that is, but it sounds good as Brits.
As a British man, any, listeners in America, we have no idea what the hell Chuck E. Cheese is.
It sounds good.
It sounds good. If they do burgers, send us one. I don't know, one each.
But again, like, Octavia Spencer is incredible as Wanda, Oscar's mother. And one of the most powerful scenes, we've touched on it briefly, is in the flashback where Wanda visits Oscar in prison. And she starts the conversation by saying, what happened to your face? And at the end of the conversation as well. And then she just says, you know what, I'm not coming here anymore. And the camera just stays on Spencer, trying to keep her cool and her emotions intact while Oscar is giving her loads of shit, you know, and she tells him she loves him and then just walks off quickly, and she's just trying to stay calm and just get out of there as quick as she can. It's just a really brilliant way of expressing so much by doing so little. Just so watchable, Octavia Spencer, I find. Just really, really great. Really powerful scene there. Because there's a moment where she wants to shout at him, but the guard, you know, is walking past, and then she just lowers her tone. You know, and there's a moment where, like, you know, Jordan has a massive argument with another inmate halfway through, and it's just like, whoa, you know, Jordan just feels like quite scary in that moment, you know. This guy in the past was pretty dark and not cool, you know. Favorite performance?
I'm going to give it, I think, to Michael B. Jordan.
Yeah, I think I'll probably go the same. I think closely followed by Octavia Spencer, because she's awesome in everything, pretty much.
I agree with you.
So score then for acting, Boaz?
I'll go 8.1.
The whole cast is pretty amazing, to be honest, and you know, certainly Michael B. Jordan and Octavia Spencer have to deal with some pretty heavy stuff in this film, so I think it's pretty impressive. So I'll probably go. So I go like 8.5. Right, let's add up the scores then for Fruitvale Station. Fruitvale Station gets 47.4. It seems low, but I mean, for, you know, Ryan Coogler's first film, you know, I would say that's pretty respectable, if I'm honest.
I agree. You know, yeah, it's a first crack, and it's a really good crack. It's just one of those things. It's like, it's good, but we've reviewed films which I do find superior to this, but that's because those directors have had much bigger experience and much bigger budgets, you know. So, but it is very good for, as you keep rightly saying, the time constraints he had, and the fact that it's his first try, and the funds for it, and he did a really good job.
So, Mr. Encyclopedia Man, what is your pick for Michael B. Jordan films?
So mine is Creed.
Creed. Why did you pick this one?
Because I like it. I think that's simple.
Cool.
I thought it was a good film. I watched it once. I'd always been meaning to watch it. I think one of the reasons I did, you know, I didn't rush to watch it I think I watched it basically as Creed 2 was coming out.
Yeah.
And I haven't watched that yet either. And I've only seen, I'm not like a big Rocky fan, and I've only seen
either, to be honest.
Exactly. I've only seen like 2 Rockies, and probably not like the most iconic ones. I've seen Rocky 5 and Rocky 6. So, you know, it's just Balboa.
The bad ones.
Yeah. I've seen none of the, you know...
good ones.
None of the good ones. Not 1, not 2, not 3. Yeah, not even 4. So 4 is the one where, because I did some research, is where Apollo Creed dies. I've never watched that.
Really?
No idea. So, but yeah, I did some research, you know, obviously familiarise myself with what it's about. But yeah, I quite like it. And, you know, Sylvester Stallone is back. I think he's played that character for a very long time.
Yeah.
That's just...
certainly with the first Rocky film, he wrote and directed it. And...
yeah. That was his big break.
Yeah. I'm not sure he won an Oscar. I can't remember. I think the film, it's won Best Picture at the time. I'm surprised he didn't go with Black Panther, if I'm honest.
Yeah, well, here's the thing. Now, this is going to sound terrible, because I thought somebody was going to pick Black Panther, that you would pick it. Or...
oh, right.
And it's certainly what you think of when you think of the actor. And I'm going to say something very controversial.
Oh.
Black Panther is not my favourite Marvel film. I don't even think it's in my top 10. I don't like it.
Really? Not even in the top 10?
Not even in my top 10. I don't actually like it that much. That's going to come as a horrible shock. We can review it some other day.
Cheers, mate. Our listeners the count has just plummeted now.
Yeah, it's went from 10 people to none. We just got one guy in Alaska somewhere now. But it's just one of those things. Like, I thought it was all right. And then I thought it got just kind of blown out of proportion. We can do a review separately if you want my thoughts on Black Panther.
Yeah.
So because I wanted to win this, I want to score my film well. Yeah. So I wanted to pick a Michael B. Jordan film I thought was actually amazing.
When Shang-Chi comes out, we're going to do MCU origin films.
Okay.
So you have an opportunity to pick it.
Okay. Well, it depends. It could work out. Even if I score it really badly, if you give it 10s and shit, maybe I could win. I don't know.
All right. I mean, it is in my top 10, but not in the top 5. So.
Okay, fair enough.
For another podcast.
Podcast.
Yes.
Yeah. Let's take our noses out of Marvel's ass for now. Move on to.
So, what happens in Creed, Mr. Encyclopedia Man?
All right. This is the story of Adonis Creed, the illegitimate child of Apollo Creed, notable villain/hero of the Rocky franchise, and rival to Rocky Balboa. He was an illegitimate child. He was raised in orphanages, and Apollo Creed's wife, after he dies, finds him and adopts him. And even though he's got a really good life with her, lives in a mansion, he's got this white collar job, he's going out to learn boxing, and he's boxing, and he decides, I want to be just a professional boxer, like his dad. Although it's very much like he wants to make it on his own. It's almost like...
Yeah. He hides the fact that he's a Creed. He just calls himself Johnson.
Yeah. And he tracks down Rocky Balboa, tells him, that he's his son, and wants Rocky to train him so he can be the best.
I was very tempted to try and do an accent there, but I was like, no, this one I can't do.
What, Rocky?
Well.
Rocky?
Well, Sylvester Stallone.
It's hard. Adrian! No, that's wrong. You got the wrong pitch.
I would have done a better Bruce Lee, to be honest.
It's like, Adrian.
No, don't mind. Stop it. Don't
it's better
try.
than yours.
What, better than my own voice? Don't think so. Or some would say...
anything's better than your own voice.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right, directing then... I feel like this is really impressive by Ryan Coogler. I must mention, actually, when they were making this film, someone suggested to the producers, how about Ryan Coogler? Well, first of all, they weren't even sure they wanted to even do another Rocky film. And then they had the idea of doing Creed. And then they showed them, Fruitvale Station. And they were like, yeah, let's do it. This is amazing. So they're very skeptical, but after seeing Fruitvale Station, they greenlit it. And obviously this led to Ryan Coogler getting, and Michael B. Jordan getting the Black Panther gig as well with the late Chadwick Boseman. But certainly the directing from Ryan Coogler is really impressive for me and oozes confidence. Certainly with the long takes in this film, there's a lot of long takes. I don't know if you noticed. Certainly in the first fight in Mexico, we follow Adonis climb some stairs, to the ring. And then the camera circles the ring, after they're jabbing for a bit, and then it cuts away. And there's another long take that I'll talk about later. But I just feel like this is such an impressive film. Directing from Ryan Coogler, and bear in mind this is his first big film. I think this is pretty impressive.
Yeah, so. I do think the cinematography, just how it looks, the shots, it's a nice looking film, and it's a great tale, and it just helps out with that.
Doesn't seem to be phased on how he wanted to direct this either. It's not cautious. He's throwing caution to the wind in this film, and how he wants to use the camera compared to the limitations he had in Fruitvale.
Absolutely.
And I kind of like the scene where Adonis goes into the Creed gym and he bets his car to see if someone can punch him with a clean hit. That was quite cool. And there's these cool,
I love the stats. Stats.
The freeze frames is cool.
Yeah. It's someone's I'll do it.
And Michael Jordan's face is just oh shit. I didn't realize this guy was here.
It's just incredible where it's like 17 wins. No. And you're like, oh shit.
Andre Ward.
Yeah. And then it comes out. He takes the first guy out like that. It's the second guy that
he was like, oh shit. I take that back. I'm going. I'm leaving.
Yeah.
But I kind of love how he gets flattened. The camera just follows him down really quickly, and it's just, you get a sense of that punch in real time, because it just follows him down really quick, and it kind of echoes like that punch in the last fight where it's all slow motion as well as the camera goes down in slow motion. That was kind of a cool echo there. Again, with a Rocky film, you're going to get montages.
Yeah.
I thought this one wasn't too showy, not too boring either. There's one which I quite liked when he goes to the older gym across town. It's kind of like a tougher area in Philadelphia. And you really get a sense of like Donnie's progression. And there's just some really nice shots with Jordan and Stallone, like punching the little bag at the same time. It just looked really cool. And I kind of love the moment where like Stallone decides to stop Jordan's rhythm, and it was, with the bag, he catches it. It was quite funny and just felt really improvised. I like that.
Yeah, no, it was really good. It's I love that montage. I thought it's a feel good montage. They have very little time to get ready for this match. It's just, it builds up. It's like, he's getting better, he's getting faster. They're having some fun. They're training. I love the shots, That was good. It was a good montage.
And again, like the first like pro fight he has is all done in like one shot. It's pretty insane. From the point where he touches he comes out of the ring, he touches gloves with his opponent, and basically to the end, really. Because you would think this you would do it all in like wide shots with the camera, but the camera's just so fluid. You go from a wide shot to close-ups of the two fighters fighting like really tight at times, and then you have the camera just drifts off to Rocky outside the ring coaching him, and it's just really clever up until the point where like they're cheering and celebrating that his first professional victory. Because certainly with this is a big budget. I didn't notice the stitches if there was any, because sometimes you kind of stitch these things together, but I didn't notice that. I think they do. There's a long shot of the final fight, which I think they do stitch it together, because there's like a big flash of light just before he gets into the ring, and there's a guy that like walks straight across the camera as well. I'm just like, yeah, they could have stitched that.
Yeah.
But with this one, the first pro fight he does, I can't see any of the stitches. I think it was all done, one shot.
One take, yeah. Yeah, it was really impressive.
Quite like the Ricky Conlan walk-on at the final fight.
Oh, man, I was going to mention that. That was cool. Amazing. That was incredible. I love, because you have Adonis's walk-on, and it's a feel-good one. He's coming on, he's got the music, he's got Rocky and stuff, and you're like, it's modest. Yeah. And Conlan is anything but modest. That was insane. How the lights dim down and everybody's got their flashlights on their phones on. And it's like stars. It's like a stadium of stars. And it's completely black in his corner as he's coming out the door.
Yeah, because the camera like slowly pushes into the tunnel and all in black.
Yeah, into the tunnel, yeah. So it's like all these stars, which are the phones and stuff, and just a tunnel of black focusing on it. And you got the music building. And a dude spits fire to illuminate Conlan. It's like, what the hell? Yeah.
that was really cool.
That was cool. I thought that was awesome.
And then he comes out and it's all kind of backlit and slow motion with the hip-hop music. It's just really, really epic, that bit.
Yeah, man. Yeah, it was the final boss of a video game. It was... That was incredible. That was a hell of an intro. It's a hell of an intro.
But I think my favourite shot is in the last montage at the end.
Well, where it's basically him training and also the chemotherapy and stuff like that.
Yeah, I kind of like that, where he's helping Rocky with his chemo, and when he is training himself, well, on his own and with the other coaches in the gym, there's a lot of like backlit shots of Donnie doing like these crazy punches to this punch bag. And the last one is all done in slow-mo. It just looks really great. But my favourite shot is when he's like running down the street and all the bikers like...
Yeah, I like that one.
drive past him all in slow motion. It's just a really great visual, that, and like some of them doing wheelies. It was quite cool, quite a cool visual there.
Yeah, that was cool. It's like they're out there to support him.
And then you got Rocky, in the window.
Yeah, that was nice.
Got to be in the fields.
Exactly, yeah. And he's like shouting up to him, like, yeah.
How about you, sir?
Sex scene. Yeah. Sex scene, that was shot pretty well. Yeah.
You didn't get much of it, to be honest.
You didn't get too much of it. It was a little. It was a teaser. It was a taste.
All right.
The tortoise got a lot of it, though. You see that? Where they're having it, and it goes up to Rocky's tortoise. It's like, yeah.
Oh, God. Someone's fanfic right there.
Yeah. It's that Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle Black Panther crossover we've always wanted.
So my score for directing, I'll go pretty high, to be honest. I mean, the montages are done really well, and his commitment to these ridiculous one-shots, just in that, that his first pro fight in the middle of the film, just all one shot, is really insane. And you don't really notice it as well. You only notice it if you're really looking for it.
Also, I just want to mention, I like the scene mainly because, it builds up, and you've got to have a scene like this where you think he's down and out, and I thought they did a good job just how that was done, where Conlon floors him, and just the noise bleeds out, and he hits the ground. He looks dead, and like everybody's like, ah. And then he just shoots back to life. I like that. And also the scene where he was beating on him and blood is going everywhere.
Oh, yeah.
It is like the camera's like, oh, yeah, there's some blood here and some blood here.
It's when they spit it out in between rounds, I think.
Exactly. And
just a close-up of the blood, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's intercut between like commentators and the cleaner and the coaches and everybody just like, I don't think he's going to survive this. I thought that was a good scene.
Yeah, it was an interesting like combination of making that final fight cinematic, but at the same time making it feel like it's a real sports event on the TV. Yeah. There's a few shots like you would see in a real boxing match, which I found interesting. That combination was interesting, which I think worked as well.
Yeah, definitely. So anyway, sorry to interrupt you.
That's all right.
Score, but...
I'm going to go 8.3, I think.
Yeah, I think that's a good score. Yeah, I'm going to go probably an 8.5. I'm going to go a little higher. There are a few really good shots in Fruitvale Station, and this is a case of, this is what this director can do with a bigger budget. Yeah. He just packs this film with some really quite amazing shots where you're just like, whoa, it's so cinematic, It's a lush film. It's a beautiful film,
Well, you get this sense that Ryan Coogler is just like, I've got my chance now. I'm not going to throw it away. I'm going to throw everything into this.
Exactly. Just throw everything.
Make it as good as I can.
Everything at the screen, Just all these good
to
ideas.
make it work,
Yeah, definitely. And make it memorable. And I think he definitely succeeded.
So, screenplay then? I nearly did the accent then, but no, I'm still trying to tell myself.
No. What's the screenplay?
Yes. I kind of like the opening credit card. The opening
credit card.
Not a good decision to put credit cards in your.
Yeah,
Mr. Gonna lose a lot of money.
Now we have all your cash.
No, I like the opening title card reveal with like the young Adonis in prison, and he says to his adopted mum, "What was his name?" Talking about Apollo Creed.
Father,
and then it cuts to Creed title card. I thought that was quite a powerful opening. Really well done to reveal that title.
Absolutely,
it did feel quite epic to me. Yeah, you talked a bit about like the final fight. I kind of liked how it was constructed as well. I don't think in the screenplay Ryan Coogler is, because he wrote this as well. He wrote Fruitvale, obviously, but he wrote this one as well, and he wrote Black Panther. I don't think he's doing anything terribly special with the structure of this film. Basically, it mirrors the first film because Adonis doesn't win the fight, like Rocky doesn't win the fight in the first film as well. It's just, it very much plays homage to the first Rocky film, which I think is quite nice. Adonis starts like really badly, and then he progressively gets better to a point where you think he might win, and then boom, gets smashed to the canvas in this incredible slow motion shot. And then you see all like the flashbacks from the film, like the happy moments, the moments of struggle, just cut like really quickly to make it feel like really raw. And then, but then obviously the little moment, the little piece of footage of Carl Weathers as Apollo Creed in one of the films, which snaps him back up to his feet, is really great. And then at the end, Donnie knocks Ricky down for the first time in his career.
Oh man, that was a good moment, because you felt like he's won. Oh my god! After all this, and it's like a success story. He's won, and I think the referee, they cut it close. It's like as he stands up, he hits 9, so it's 10 for a knockout, and he stands up, and then the round is gone, and Adonis falls to his knees, and Rocky's like, "Listen, man, it's fine. If we had 10 more seconds, you would have won. 10 more seconds."
And I get the sense that, Ryan Coogler, like Fruitvale, he's just very much trying to focus on these characters and trying to focus on, like, where is Rocky at this moment? Who is this guy, Adonis Johnson? And I just like that commitment there from him. But there is some kind of cool lines as well, epic ones as well, during that fight, and it's this whole concept of you're fighting yourself. There's that kind of that cool scene of Rocky training him, and he's just fighting himself in the mirror.
Yeah,
I quite like that.
Yeah,
and during the fight, he's just like, it's you against you. Get him out of the way. Get Ricky Conlan out of the way. You're fighting against yourself.
I like that. Yeah, he's your toughest opponent. He's your worst enemy. It's you. I like that. Yeah.
I feel like he could be breaking a lot of mirrors, but
But I do like the idea of it, because he's like, when you're attacking, what's he doing? Attacking. So you better be blocking. It's like you got to be faster than your own reflection before you can.
Yeah.
It's that was good. Some unconventional training methods.
There's a lot of like funny, charming lines as well. Like, that was pretty good. Chickens are slowing down.
Yeah. Yeah, that was good. I think actually my favourite line in the first like big montage where he's training him is where he's doing jump rope, and the bell rings, and he puts down the jump rope, and I like Rocky says something like, "That bell don't mean school's out." He's like, "That bell means hell. Keep going."
Yeah, that was cool.
That was good. I like that line.
And like all the little banter as well when he decides to like move into Rocky's place, and he's like, "Oh, you better not walk around naked either,"
Yeah, I like that. That was funny.
I like the scene where Donnie is doing press-ups in the hospital next to Rocky, and he says, "I used to do that with one hand. I didn't want to say anything though."
Yeah, and he switches on. And he's shadow boxing. He's like, don't hit the nurse. She'll lay you out." But also, what was it? The relationship between him and the girl from upstairs. I thought that was quite sweet. And Bianca. And the fact that she also has her own sort of stuff going on, her own arc. She doesn't exist as just his girlfriend. She's trying to be a successful musician before like she loses her hearing, which is like, I was like, oh, okay. Like, she seems quite fleshed out. And he almost screws that up for her when Rocky has cancer. He discovers looking at his pamphlet, and he doesn't really want to go through the chemotherapy. And what was it? That guy that's going to headline, do you remember? Like, he goes to her, where she's playing.
Oh, yeah.
And the guy that's going to headline is asking if he can have a photo with him. And he calls him Baby Creed. And that really pisses him off. Don't call me that. And then the guy doesn't like Adonis threatening him of like, don't call me that, I swear, don't. And he says something like, you talk to me like that, Baby Creed, I'll send you VIP to see your dad. And he just, bang, knocks him out. Knocks him out cold. And she's very angry about that. Almost ruined her chance.
Certainly I got the sense in that as well, and in Fruitvale, that Michael B. Jordan can turn scary like pretty quickly.
Oh,
He can turn it on to be scary.
Turn it on and off, yeah.
Fucking quickly. You're like, oh shit.
You can turn the charm on. You're like, oh, this is the one that, when he gets angry, it's like, yeah. It's like a demon. You don't want to fuck with him.
And I kind of like the little lines at the end, right at the end, where he says, "One step at a time." When he's helping Rocky climb the Philadelphia steps.
Yeah.
And he's like, one step at a time. And he's like, "Oh, who told you that?" Oh, some old man.
Yeah, that was funny.
And when he wins the fight, Felicia Rashford, who plays who plays Donnie's foster mum, says, "Oh, you gave me a heart attack, but I'm proud of you." You know, that's kind of cool. But my favorite line is kind of weird as well. It was kind of funny and weird at the same time. Do you know what I'm on about?
Yeah.
Just a great moment of catharsis as well. It's a moment when, like, the ref, just before the first pro fight, where the referee is, the final fight.
Oh, no.
I can't remember which one.
It was the first, is it the one where he's going to shit himself?
Yeah.
I love that, yeah. No, that was, was that, I'm trying to think where it actually happened. No, it was the final fight. It was the final fight.
Yeah.
It was the final fight. He was explaining to him the rules, and then he's just like, "You need to cut me out of these gloves." He's like, "What the hell are you talking about? We're going up." He's like, "You need to cut me out of these gloves. I need to take a shit." I'm saying,
just comes out of nowhere.
Yeah. You know? I think it's just the nerves. It's the nerves. Yeah. It's like he's never had to do anything like this. And he just cut. Yeah, I thought that was fun. It was like, you either cut me out of these gloves or you got to wipe my ass.
And it was just the fact that, you know, the way it was done, where the referee is talking to him, and then it all goes, like, the sound slowly cuts out, and then he says it, like, cut my gloves off, I need a shit. You know, it's just really funny.
So what's my favourite line? I think I'll go with the Rocky one of, that bell doesn't mean school's out, that bell means hell. Yeah,
school's out.
I like that.
So score for me then, as I said, it kind of focuses on the characters more than what the structure of the whole film is. I think when you do a sports film like this, you're very limited on what structural changes you can do and, like, how you can mess with the audience. So I'm not saying they play it safe in this film, but I think it's just quite nice and a simple way just to have a little subtle homage to the first film, the way it's structured, I guess. So I'll go like 7.8,
fair.
I think. How about you, sir?
I'll go 8.3.
8.3, determined to win.
Actually, did I say 8.3? I mean 9.
Yes.
10. 10.5. No,
yes, acting was shit.
Try that, even out. 0. 8.3.
Yeah, so acting then. Did you like Sylvester Stallone? Did you like Michael B. Jordan?
Oh, I actually did really like Sylvester Stallone. I thought he brought it, man. He brought it. Like the whole aging, like end of his road Rocky, he's doing this one last favor for his friend's kid. Yeah, man. I just thought he was like, he had a heart of gold. He was so sweet in this film.
There's one thing I never thought I would see Sylvester Stallone do. Do you know what that is? Dance.
Dance. Oh, thought you meant have cancer.
You remember that incredible, like, little dance?
Oh,
sequence?
Where he wakes him up at 5 a.m.
That was pretty funny.
And he's like shuffling along. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was terrible.
To Wake Up Everybody by Harold Marvin and the Blue Notes, which is quite funny. And like Michael B. Jordan's like priceless reactions, just like, what the fuck? What the hell is happening right now?
Am I still dreaming? It's like, I can't believe I'm seeing it.
But yeah, Michael B. Jordan is great in this character as well. I like the bit where Donnie is trying to get to sleep, but someone downstairs is playing like really loud music, and he gets up, knocks on the door, and he's about to be like really pissed off at this person, and then Tessa Thompson, like this beautiful woman, opens the door, and he's just like, "I'm Donnie, hi."
Like, what do you want, Donnie? Yeah.
His face again is just like a picture. It's like, I did not expect it to be you. You want to go for a coffee?
Maybe make love in front of a turtle.
Why are you so focused on that scene?
It's just
because there's a turtle in there.
It's a dirty turtle.
But yeah, there's some quite powerful emotional scenes in this film with Sylvester Stallone, especially when he's like refusing to take chemotherapy. You know, I've never really seen Stallone like that, certainly in his latter career. He doesn't fully release himself into all-out emotion, because I don't think Rocky would do that. And he's talking to Adonis, you know, as his trainer as well, and he just doesn't want to fully release it, if you know what I mean. But he just wants to show Donnie that he's like touched a nerve here. And then when he says, we're not family really, and then Donnie just like runs off quickly, and he immediately regrets it, and he's just like, oh, I've just left Donnie in a really vulnerable position right now. And that's the part where we've talked about before, where he just hits this VIP at Bianca's concert, you know.
Yeah, and then when he's in the holding cell, he's like, you know, why are you here? You said you're just my trainer. We're not family. It's like, get the hell away from me.
I love that moment though when he's where Jordan is just getting really pissed off at him, and Rocky just takes it, and he's just like, and I love the reaction from him, and he says, "Oh, I ain't leaving until I tell you what's on my mind." It's just so calm and it's just. The performance was telling me, he was just like, I don't really care what you're going about to do to me or whatever. I just need to say this, you know, because I really respect you and I want you to do well in life, not just in boxing, but in life, you know. It's just a really subtle moment there from Rocky. Sylvester Stallone.
When he's given the news that he's got cancer and about chemotherapy, and every time it's brought up, he wants to mention, like, his wife, you know, it's like, it's the same thing my wife had, and it's like, you can do the chemo, it's the same thing she had. You could tell it's like, it pains him to say it. It's just like, no.
Yeah.
I'm not going through that.
Interesting casting as well in this film. Because do you know who they cast as Ricky Conlan?
No, I've never seen that guy in my life, I don't think.
Not a boxing fan, then.
I know next to nothing about boxing.
I'm not a big boxing fan. I'm not a massive fan, really, only in the films, to be honest. Ricky Conlan is played by Tony Bellew, a real boxer. Yeah, he's a real boxer. And I think it's just a really great move from Ryan Coogler to actually hire a real boxer because, you know, in the sport of boxing, you have to have, like, this massive personality. You know, sometimes, like, the weigh-ins and the press conferences before big fights is literally the same as you see in films like this, in Creed and Rocky. It's literally the same. So it's just like a kind of a really cool, canny move to hire Tony Bellew in this film.
He is built like a brick shithouse.
And it's interesting as well because Tony Bellew's like a massive Everton fan, and they do the final fight in Everton, you know, so it's kind of, I'll only do it if we do it in Everton. I was like, all right. But yeah, I thought it was just really clever, actually, you know, because you need someone really charismatic, and, like, why not just cast a real boxer? And he did a really good job.
Yeah, I like the weigh-in where he's getting on his nerves. Yeah, I thought that was good. He's, like, just cutting him off. He's like, listen, you know, you're only here because of your name. You know, you're just nothing, man.
Have you seen any of, like, the Tyson Fury, Deontay Wilder press conferences? It's literally like that, but worse.
Yeah, no, I bet. Yeah, like, I saw.
They literally play it down in this film.
No, I saw, like, clips of, like, a few press conferences, just where they go bad. You know, where they start to shove each other and, you know, get in each other's face.
Yeah, but in, like, these real boxing press conferences, there's always these massive dudes, these massive, like, bodyguards all around them.
Have you heard of
because they always do this, like, face-off thing, and there's always, like, these massive guys, like, right there in case something happens, which usually does, but, you know, they're big enough to just
I think I saw one, you know, like the UFC? Yeah, I saw one where the two guys were having the press conference, then had the stare down, and both raised their fists at each other. And the guy in the middle, you know, they got the big guys. He's, like, putting them away.
Yeah.
And then it turns out they were just joking, and they just laughed, and it was a joke to the you know, to the big guy that's meant to break them up. He's like, you see your face.
Oh, right.
Yeah, that was really fun.
So I guess in that sense, there is a bit of, it's not terribly realistic, but it's not a big thing for me. So who's your favourite performance, Sparrows?
I think I should say, like, Michael B. Jordan, but I do quite like Sylvester Stallone in this.
Yeah,
I think it's not one where it's like, he's quite reserved. He is just being Sylvester Stallone. He's being Rocky, you know, words of wisdom, and, you know, he's struggling, obviously. He's older. I'm trying to think who I should give it to.
Well, mine is Sylvester Stallone.
So. Okay, then I feel maybe a little less guilty saying Sylvester Stallone then. I think I will say.
Okay.
Yeah,
no
I think I
shame
might say Stallone.
If I'm honest. Because he was nominated for an Oscar, and I remember a lot of critics were up in arms that Sylvester Stallone didn't win that year for Best Supporting Actor. I think it was Mark Rylance that won that year for basically saying what does he say in Bridge of Spies? Would it help? He just says, would it help, like loads of times, and he wins a fucking Oscar for it, but there we go.
It obviously helped.
It did, yes.
So yeah, I think I'll go Stallone.
Score then for acting, for me, I'm going to go 8.2, I think.
Yeah, I think that's fair. 8.2.
Cool. Let's add up the scores then for Creed.
But yeah, I do think Stallone is kind of aged like a fine wine.
You're not a wine drinker.
I'm not a wine drinker. It all tastes horrible to me. But if I was a wine drinker, he would be a nice wine.
Yes, if you were a rich man. Right. Creed gets 49.3. So Creed wins this one by just under 2 points. Fruitvale Station gets 47.4. So Creed is the winner this week. Next week, we'll be looking at the film Wrath of Man, which comes out in the States in cinemas. And I think we get it in the UK in June, which stars the one and only Jason Statham.
Nice.
If you didn't hear me right, it's Jason Statham.
The English bacon.
English bacon. All right. That made no sense to me, but there we go.
I don't know why I said that.
Anyway.
I think too many punches to the head. I've been watching too many boxing movies.
Yeah. As ever, Boaz, you've been rather good.
All right. Back to rather then.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Was it because of that bad joke? I've been demoted.
Yes, I don't know what happened there, quite frankly. I'm not sure I connect Jason Statham with bacon that often, quite frankly. All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
That's it for this week's pod. Thank you for listening. We hope you enjoyed it. If you would like to find out more about the podcast or suggest future topics for us to discuss related to upcoming releases, let us know on Instagram at Film vs. Film Podcast and on Twitter at FVF_podcast. Remember, please subscribe. Pod signing off.